Hi, I'm Brett Warren from Metropole. Are you considering investing in property to fund your retirement? There are many factors to be considered here, but perhaps one of the most crucial is something you may not even be on your radar. In the short term, it will be your salary, your ability to borrow money, and growth will play a role. But as you go along, I believe it's important to understand who will be paying your bills and ultimately funding your retirement. The answer, of course, is your tenants. So with that in mind, it's important to understand right from the beginning who the perfect tenant is. What characteristics should you be focusing on to ensure you're able to fund your retirement on your terms? In my mind, there's a very simple approach to getting this right. And to start with, there are many factors to be considered when finding the perfect tenant. But rather than doing that, let's focus in on who is going to be paying your bills. And in relation to that, we have to look at incomes. We have to look at demographics. And I believe the most important thing you may not have considered is weekly family incomes. At Metropole, we target a demographic where incomes are rising well and truly above the average, well and truly above inflation, but also the average for a particular area or location. This type of demographic have the ability to pay more and more for property, but they also have the ability to pay more and more for rent. And that's really critical. In the downturns, they also have higher savings rates and buffers, and they can get through those times. So in my mind, that's the perfect tenant. Once you can start to understand that and head towards that, then you can start to understand other elements. Unfortunately, a lot of investors chase cash flow, and cash flow can be a very attractive proposition, but in the short term, that's all the focus is. They're not focusing on the medium and longer term parts of the journey. If you're buying in a cheaper, lower socio-economic area, it's only really growing with inflation. Your incomes and your retirement funds are actually tied to inflation. Whereas if you look at it conversely and buy in areas where people's incomes are rising well and truly above the average, and above inflation, you're going to get to your end goal faster. For this type of research, we use SQM research and look at the weekly family income over not just years, but decades, 20, 30 years to understand. And it's really important. At the start, there's a couple of examples of 10 years ago where there might be a $100 difference between two particular suburbs, a really good high-paying growth suburb and a lower socioeconomic area. But as we go along, 20 to 25 years later, the difference is tenfold, almost $1,000, $1,500 a week difference in those types of locations. What does that mean for you? Well, that means clearly at the start there might be a slight difference, but as you go along, that's going to allow your growth, your serviceability to increase so you can accumulate more assets, and ultimately when you do retire and you've got better quality assets with higher paying tenants, you're going to be in a much better position to choose retirement and have retirement on your terms. So that's it for today, really understanding what your tenant is look like and how they're going to help you fund your retirement.